we are continuing with the heat transfer, and now there is right some numerical side to it. Whenever an equation comes, you should be happy, right? That equation means you can start doing some calculations. So here the solidification time, what time will the metal take to completely solidify? This is critical. You see, if the solidification time is very slow, then the production rate will be low. If the solidification time is very quick, very fast, then some of the metal may solidify before the mold is completely filled and the casting is gone. Right? So on the one hand, there is the production rate. On the other hand, that the casting will remain incomplete. Another part which is very critical with the solidification time, if you remember your chapters on phase diagram and engineering alloys from the material science, then the rate at which a liquid metal is cooled determines the grain size, and the final grain size determines the strength and other properties. So the cooling rate, same metal, exactly same metal, same composition, same alloy, everything. But if you change the cooling rate or the solidification time, then the properties of the casting will be different. So you see three very critical things: production rate, incomplete casting, properties of the cast metal. Okay. Can you pronounce this name? Russian origin. Shevorenov. So the scientist who came up with solidification time equation, Shevorenov. So this rule is called the Shevorenov's rule, that the solidification time is proportional to volume upon surface area, the ratio of the casting volume to the surface area raised to some power n. Right? This C is the constant. So if you want to turn it, the proportionality, into an equation, there is a constant C. Right? So this is a solidification constant, which will depend on the mold material, the metal properties, including latent heat, the superheat and the temperature, and so on. Right? So what is the mold material? What are the properties of the metal? What is the superheat temperature? All of this together will decide this constant C. Right? And this power n will be experimentally determined by doing a lot of experiments on each of the alloys. You have one alloy, you have a medium carbon steel of one given carbon percentage, and you do different pouring temperatures with different superheats, and you measure all the things and the time and so on, and then you will come up with two values, this constant and this. If you know in statistics, in your courses, if you are in mechanical engineering, you do one course on probability and statistics. If you are in industrial engineering, you do two courses in probability and statistics and maybe some more. Right? If you are chemical and so on, still you do, I think, one course on probability and statistics. So there is a field there which is called regression analysis. Regression means you have very carefully conducted the experiment. If the experimental data is not reliable, then you can't use it. But if you have very carefully done so that you know that your experimental data is good, then you can use the experimental data to fit an equation. Right? So if you have done the course, you already know about it. If you will do the course, you will see regression. So people take one specific alloy, do not change any of the composition. If it is, say, 0.1% carbon steel, then this is 0.1% carbon steel. And you do casting with exactly same mold, same design, but change the temperature and this and that. And finally, you can do regression analysis to find the constants. This is a major way that you see, we come across this problem as a science person, as an engineering person, that we have a mold and we have a metal. We have already done a lot of scientific study, and we came up with this rule that solidification time is proportional to the ratio of volume to surface area. But now the equation constants C and N have to be done, right? So already the physics of the problem, the mechanics of the problem, the thermodynamics of the problem have been thought about a lot based on your previous knowledge. And you have come up, Mr. Shevarinov has come up with this: solidification time is C, volume upon surface area raised to N. And then you do experiments 10, 20, 30 times, and then you fit it. So this N typically, usually, is found to have a value between 1.5 and 2, right? This has been found by a lot of experiments on a lot of different metals and alloys, lot of different superheat temperatures, lot of sand material, and so on. So it varies from 1.5 to 2. If it is not known, you take it to be 2, right? So it is a square. So this is the typical value, the value that will be naturally taken if the data is not there. Then solidification time is proportional to the square of volume by surface, a square of volume by surface. Okay, so this is the volume of the casting, this is the surface area of the casting, and this is it, right? So it means that any solid that has a larger volume to surface area, ratio, for that the solidification time will be more. Solidification time being more means it will take longer to solidify, right? So there is one general rule here: a sphere solidifies and cools to ambient temperature at a much lower rate, large sphere compared to a small sphere, right? Because the volume of a sphere is proportional to the cube of its diameter, and the surface area is proportional to the square of its diameter, and so on, right? So this is a big major addition to our piece of knowledge, and we can use the Shevarinov's rule now, and all casting people do it, that they know the metal, they know the temperature, they know the design of the mold and so on, they know the sand grain characteristics and so forth, so they can predict the solidification time. And if they have to alter it, they say we have to increase the solidification time because it is not good for the production rate. We are not getting enough castings per unit hour and so on. So we change some of the things, and you play with the actual production parameters, and then you see that no, this is optimal. This is fast enough so that I have a good production rate. This is slow enough so that it does not solidify before the casting is full, and this gives me a good grain size and properties of the casting after it has been completed. This is a very small topic: skin thickness. Skin thickness in casting. You can very easily go through this slide yourself. We have the Shevarinov's rule, right? So here we are just saying, if this is a casting, that you see always the cooling will be at the walls. You see, inside there is liquid metal. Inside there is liquid metal. This is the wall. The rest is the sand mold. So it will cool here first and then inside. It will cool here first and then inside, isn't it? Wherever the liquid metal inside the mold is in contact with an outer wall, so the heat will be rejected through to the outer wall. And that means the outside of the casting will cool first, and then this skin will become a little thicker, and then will become a little thicker. So the solidification goes from the outermost part of the casting inwards. So a thin layer of skin, and then a larger layer of skin, and then a larger layer of skin. Ultimately, it cools and solidifies all through to the center, isn't it? So this is skin. So you just read through it, and if there is anything that you don't understand, then let me. So here, just summarizing what Shevarinov's rule tells us, I have already discussed that. A casting with a higher volume to surface area ratio cools and solidifies more slowly. to feed molten metal to the main cavity, total solidification time for the riser must be greater than total solidification time for the main casting. This is brilliant. To feed molten metal to the main cavity, right? There is a mold cavity inside, and all of this mold cavity should be filled. Otherwise, if some portion is left unfilled and it has already solidified, then there is a hollow casting, there is a bad casting, right? So total solidification time for the riser must be more than that for the main casting. You see, this whole main casting has to solidify and the riser is here. So the time for the riser to solidify should be more than this. Otherwise the riser has solidified and the casting has not filled and so on. So this is one major thing, major rule. Think on it. Since mold constants of riser and casting will be equal, mold constants C and N and so on, design the riser to have a larger volume to area ratio than the casting. Right? So this is important, because this was one thing that you don't want the riser to solidify before the casting. If you want to do that, then the volume to area ratio of the riser should be more than the volume to area ratio of the casting. If this is the case, then the time to solidify for the riser is more than the time to solidify for the casting. Okay. Effects of shrinkage. We have told you earlier, right, that one of the factors that is important is that it is a liquid metal, and any liquid that solidifies usually shows some shrinkage. So if we just fill the metal cavity inside the mold, then after complete solidification it will shrink and it will not be completely the size of the mold. So your riser, some metal has gone through the mold cavity into the riser, right? And as the metal in the mold shrinks, some of the liquid metal from the riser comes back and it keeps on filling it, isn't it? So because the riser is not solidifying before the mold, therefore in the mold, if there is any shrinkage, the liquid metal in the riser is flowing back into the mold and filling that cavity. So by the time solidification has been done, then all of the mold has solid metal. It is not that some of the liquid metal has shrunk and some of the space in the mold cavity is empty, which means that the casting is not the size you want. If the casting is slightly larger than the actual size you want, you can do finishing operations and make the casting exactly true to dimensions and so on. But if the casting size is less than what you require, you are gone. You cannot do anything, right? So Chevrenoff's rule is very important in finding the casting time and so on, solidification time. But now this huge rule that the solidification time for the riser should be more than the solidification time for the mold cavity is two major things. One is that the mold cavity should not solidify before the riser. Second, that if there is any shrinkage, then liquid metals from the riser would flow back into the casting and still fill the complete gap, right? So that is why I keep on telling you that an equation is there. But how this equation evolved, what was the scientific principles, how the physics and mechanics of the problem were studied, that is important to understand. And that now once you have the equation, then how does it affect you as an engineer and so on. Okay, so always think about the physics and mechanics of the problem so that you are good as an engineer. Of course, you have to be good in calculations and so on also. We will stop here today and we will continue inshallah. So for now, ma'as salama till we meet next.